Good morning, Guy. How are you doing? It's so good to have you here.
Yeah, it's awesome being at FinTech, right? It's always such a buzz. It's great. And thank you for the invite.
No worries. Yeah, it's a great morning, and yesterday was buzzing, and today is the same as well. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's hectic.
Yeah, and talking about Standard Chartered Bank, I have seen a lot of news about you're launching different kind of SCGPT videos, and SCB is always in talk when we talk about when there's something about AI, and I've seen the adoption, or it's a leading bank which is driving the adoption as compared to the rest. So what do you think is driving SCB to be that leader, ready to take the risk? What's the strategy the bank is thinking as a whole in doing these experiments?
I think it's a strange organization to be at, but once it makes up its mind, then like a lot of this micro drama and tension just goes away.
Yeah.
And I think fundamentally, from a shareholder value perspective, our shares are at an all-time high. I think the age-old strategy that a lot of our banking counterparts, and we've become, I think, a bit of an unfair cliche of throwing bodies at a problem is just no longer sustainable. And I think as a consequence, we have new leadership, specifically in terms of generative AI. For predictive, it's still the preserve of hub and spoke teams that sit with the business. I think there are different perspectives on whether that works, but it allows you to scale very quickly, right? Because you have a dedicated team with SME, close to the data, close to the business user and the end problem, addressing that. I think from a generative perspective, the view is, and where I get obsessed is around value, the ability to actually scale these solutions. So we're well past our experimentation stage. And if you think of a magic quadrant, you have experimentation, then you move to productivity use cases, transformative top left, and then you really want to hit opportunistic. And I think for us, we're still pretty heavily in the productivity focus piece. And it's an easy place for people to start. You take an existing process, you replace a maker with a bot, the checker is still checking, the end process is still the same. You're not going to go through big policy change tensions. Where it gets exciting is the ability, and we're there now with one or two, where we've done these incremental processes. We've proven that we can deliver and roll things out in different countries. And now it starts to become, how do we thread those different processes together, those which are now automated through generative AI? How do we now take those outputs and start training hyper-specific agents, which is when you then start to get exciting, where we're reinventing 50, 60, 70 different processes and turning it on its head. There's no longer the need for the process. We understand the outcome, and we can achieve the outcome through an LLM.
Oh, that's really interesting. And you mentioned a lot about like productivity and operational efficiencies and stuff. How you have seen that your colleagues and the employees have reacted to that, the adoption of AI? What are the challenges or the step backs you have seen from, because people are seeing AI as a threat, but how it has been adaptive or considered within the bank, given you're doing
I think that's a great question, right?
Yeah.
And this is the age-old, like, is this going to replace my job and all that sort of stuff. We've had, weirdly, the opposite reaction.
Oh.
Everyone in Standard Chartered
they're too busy.
Yeah, it's just too excited, which is great. The challenge is, the intent is fantastic. The understanding of the technology and its limitations or its applicability is not always 100%, and that's okay. That's the business. But what I would say one of our greatest assets is the willingness of the business to try, to experiment, and their demand, quite literally, I use my English very carefully, to have AI-enabled processes and workflows. So core for them is, we have like baseline productivity tools, right? Be it Copilot, SCGPT, and pending GPT Enterprise. And that's allowing us to start to scale at a macro level in terms of how we now start to enable our colleagues to work smarter, faster.
great. So it's more of like the OpenAI they launched and everybody just start using it instead of thinking, oh, it's gonna make me dumb or it's gonna take my job. It's just making it more efficient and efficient.
I would just nuance that. Like the one thing at StanChart is we have 3 overarching principles. One is an obsession with return on investment and value. Like we are way past the stage of doing AI because it's cool.
Okay.
We want to be doing AI that drives exponential value that we can clearly measure.
Yeah.
So where we've been very different, I think, from a lot of other Gen AI productivity deployments, where the business case, Deepshika, is not difficult.
Yes.
It's somewhere between 3 and 10%.
Yeah.
What does a 3 and 10% uplift look like for 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people equals X?
Yeah.
What's the delta of the license and the potential compute?
Yeah.
That delta is your value done. Business case stamped, approved, roll out.
Wow.
With us, what we're doing is we're actually quite excited about this. We have a research partnership and we'll be looking to measure value at the job family level. So my team in particular, with some of our external consulting partners, have subdivided all of these different job families into high, medium, low impacts. And we have an entire adoption plan for how we get beyond scraping those double digits at 10% to push it to 20%, 30% productivity through the use of custom GPTs and deep dives. And then you can start to take those specific custom GPTs through an appropriate governance process, and we publish these back up to our general population. And therefore, all the boats in the harbor rise together. Like, those are some of the things that we obsess about.
No wonder SCB is a leader, because you are doing so much calculative approach in calculating using a lot of formulas and making sure that you are doing the right thing rather than just throwing the spaghetti and just trying and experimenting stuff.
I think, look, as much as my marketing team would love me to say that, yes, we are the leader, I think we also have to be humble. And part of our view is that we're never satisfied.
Yeah.
So yes, there's the win, but it's like, okay, fine, where's the next?
Yeah.
Like we rolled out mortgages, for example, in Hong Kong, which is a really cool use case.
Yeah.
So this is where we're taking rather challenging documents like a sales prospectus, floor plans of new condo builds.
Yes.
And this is being ingested, understood, and then there's a valuation spat out with the full narrative by a large language model, as opposed to, you know, a human being having to sift through all of the noise, right? You know, they're sales brochures.
Exactly.
To actually understand these are the true drivers of value for properties here, and therefore this would be the mortgage levels that we would underwrite, the risk that we'd be comfortable with.
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting use case, especially in the lending space. And we are seeing a lot as well, especially in SME lending. So, and it's a very simple use case, and because it's a boring job, so nobody talks about it, like generation of credit memos.
Yeah.
It takes you like 2 weeks, months to generate them, and nobody talks about that AI can be done. Like, we are working with a bank. They generate like 20,000 of memos per month and have to spend lots of hours in that. And I would say when I had the first conversation with the business guys and I told them that you can generate a memo in 1 hour through our AI, they were shocked and they never thought that AI can be used in this way as well.
Yeah.
Because the thought through the process is not, people are not going deep enough to understand what AI can do and what are the limitations and how best to use it.
Yeah, and I think this is what speaks to the heart of what we're focused on. So if you think about StanChart, it becomes needlessly complex, but you can boil this down.
Yeah.
We have a very clear strategy, which is differentiated cross-border, sustainability and excellence in wealth.
Yeah.
So my job, in essence, is to take all of these use cases that are hyper-specific and then imagine that there's little pieces of string and how do these now contribute to those larger things? And to your point, Deepshika, it comes down to how do you look at value? Everyone is doing productivity savings, right, in terms of high cost, low cost, number of minutes, number of hours, number of days. So that's one piece of value, fine. And that fundamentally pays for the development, but that's one element only. If you take mortgages, if you take credit memos, it allows us to be more competitive with our customers, and it allows us to start doing something that I don't think banks overall are particularly great at,
Yeah.
which is how do we delight our customers by removing needless friction? And we give you a response, to your point, in hours, minutes,
Yeah.
as opposed to days, weeks, and then, further clarification required, further clarification, which becomes frustrating.
Yeah. And actually, yesterday during one of my fireside chat, one person was mentioning that by saving all this time, the relationship managers will have time to not maintain the relationship but build the relationship, do hyper personalization, get the trust of the customers. So if they save more time, they can cater their time to serve their customers better, and I think that's the end goal for all the banks or the financial institutions.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
provide a better service for the customers.
I think anyone that sits there and says that the customer doesn't come first, customers always, whatever cliche you'd like, I think is in the wrong job.
Exactly.
But I think you have to be measured. You have to be focused on why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the challenge becomes, as we touched on earlier, it's wonderful to have that level of employee engagement and collegiate enthusiasm. But if this is helping one department, 3 individuals, I'm like, look, it's cool, but that's not really what we want to focus on.
Exactly.
Like, we also have to think about how we scale. And what we obsess about as a team is transversal capabilities.
Yeah.
How do we get a capability inside the bank that we can solution with that gives us optionality in terms of the tech, as we talked about on your stand?
Yeah.
Or is this give us a new capability that's going to make us go faster? Because the challenge with Stand Chart is the sheer breadth, which is part of our USP.
Yeah.
But that means multiple countries, multiple locations, very specific localized use cases versus top line general. And I don't think there's a formula for that. It's a balance, and we don't always get it right.
Yeah. And we talk a lot more about operational efficiencies, productivity, and giving the right tools to the employees, helping that. Where are we in providing solutions for the customers? I saw that SCP has launched the FX Video Insights. Was it driven from the clients to have more client engagements, or was it from business? Where was the idea came from? I heard quite a number of good reviews about it because the videos are short, people are getting more attention, and how does it help in driving the revenue, or what's the impact?
I swear to you, this is the honest truth.
Yeah.
Like, this really is. It's not a marketing pitch.
Yeah.
But like, our best asset is our people. It's not a cliche. It's true. They're the ones that came up with the genesis for this idea, right?
Yeah.
Because the trick is being able to harness all of that domain expertise and an understanding of the problems and the value, be it to the end customer. We obviously collaborate with all of these projects with our customers, with test pools, because that's part of the iterative design process. But that's why I love this use case. It's an absolute win for Team SC, right? In terms of our team are like, this is what we should be doing. This is why we should be doing it. And then we went and built it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, I've seen your SCGPT has been rolled out in 41 markets. Over 70,000 employees are using it. Then FX Video Insights. So you're summing up not just operational efficiencies or enhancing the people's product, but also focusing how you can service your customer better. What are the new opportunities to generate revenue?
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is with generative AI is we've tried this, right? Every major institution, the training courses, partnerships with universities, the minute that course is published, it's out of date and it becomes incredibly theoretical and it becomes a baseline. The only way to get good with generative AI is to experiment with prompts, experiment with different situations, experiment with different models for different tasks. And that's when you start to understand, okay, and accept the fact that you need to become comfortable being very uncomfortable. That not knowing 100% if you're one of those individuals, this is the wrong industry.
Coming to the point, since I mentioned that you have launched in 41 markets, we know how the adoption in Singapore, we are seeing a lot in news, but what you have seen in other markets, like in Middle East, in UK, how people are adopting and internally, and some of their thoughts, if customers are open to it, and how is it happening there?
Okay, we could do another half hour just on this. Let me summarize. I think the biggest challenge becomes some of the regulatory approvals that differ dramatically for different countries. And sometimes that will have an impact, whether you wish it or not, on the features that are enabled or disabled on that particular solution set. And that gets frustrating because, like, our team description is strategy and adoption, and we sit within CDO AI enablement, right? Like, the clue is in the title. We're here to enable our colleagues. So I think the regulatory approvals become quite challenging. This for us exacerbates because of Standard Chartered's always here presence. By definition, we're in a lot more emergent markets that a lot of the other GTBs, debanked a long time ago. And that's contrary to our DNA and our commitment to those particular communities and customers. The downside of that is that you find yourself in more emergent markets with data sovereignty becomes an issue. Data privacy, etc., is not as enabling, if I can catchphrase it, as you have with mature regulators here like MAS and HKMA. So, what's permissible and possible and the speed in which we can achieve here in Singapore is not the same if we're looking in certain parts of Africa, as a very obvious example. So our job is to try and manage, okay, what's that standardized baseline going to look like? And then how do we manage to actually get those additional approvals for features that may have been disabled because of those concerns? Because, we're a regulated institution, and those regulations are there for a reason. And we have to work with those, and it fundamentally just takes time.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting that in Singapore, we take it like, okay, on-cloud deployment is good, and we can think about cloud. But yesterday, I was talking to someone from a country in Europe. I will not name the country. And he works for a bank, and he mentioned that, if a person buy a coffee in a coffee shop, that information cannot leave this country. The regulators are so strict that you cannot have the transactions data or any data related to your customers leave that country borders. You can't even just across the road or anything like in Europe. And I was quite surprised, like, okay, that's...
Well, I think, like... The interesting thing is you have the age-old adage, yes, right? Of like, the Americans create, the Europeans regulate, and the Chinese scale.
That's so true.
So, I don't know. I think Europe in particular has challenges around GDPR.
Yes, yeah.
And a very literal interpretation of that regulation.
Exactly.
Which does provide challenges. But, like, this is why we have this one team approach.
Yeah.
And it's our job to sit and consistently, of course, abide by the guardrails and the regulations. And, that's part of our responsibility to our shareholders. But the other part of that, which I think is really exciting about Standard Chartered, is the internal desire to at least have dialogue in terms of how we can improve some of these different processes, particularly approvals.
Yeah.
Like, there's technical legacy that every bank has.
Yeah.
If they say they don't have it, you're fibbing.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're a digital bank, and then you've got different issues. But everyone has a degree of legacy.
Yeah.
And some of the approvals processes as well.
Yeah.
It's not just an SC issue. At various closed-door workshops, this is where a lot of the banks, even in Singapore, are really struggling with.
Yeah.
Like, how do our auditors audit a generative AI model guide?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where you have to collaborate to start to improve on a wholesale basis.
Yeah, and you see, like in Singapore, the regulators are pretty supportive as well.
Yeah, crazy supportive.
MAS has started this Pathwind program. They're inviting financial institutions. They are inviting listed vendors as well, like they are part of it. So it's just giving the financial institutions that with whom you can work with are trusted vendors or the trusted products which you can use. But if you go to other countries, there are like rules and regulations, and you have to make sure that what else you can do that is not considered as a personal data. A transactional data could be different from a personal data. But I think it's the mindset of the country and the region and the support from regulators. I guess it's very important when you need to innovate.
I think Singapore is really unique in that you have this very collegiate relationship that's sponsored, hosted by the regulator. I mean, all of the banks subscribe through ABS, right, to list all of our current mega challenges.
Yes.
Like, there's a degree of openness and transparency, and I think an acceptance that no one's going to do this alone. That's very, very different to other countries, particularly when you move out of Asia, which I as a British expat, I find bizarre, bearing in mind the Central Bank of England invented the sandbox theory. So I'm like, but I think that what we will start to see over the years is, I hope not, but potential sort of like innovation triage, in a sense that different innovators, fintechs, regtechs, all of these disruptors are going to deliberately start moving to environments where their innovations are supported, encouraged. There's a regulatory sandbox, there's a clear mandate. The banks have the ability to and the permission to be able to interact with sensitive data, at the very least, with those potential partners. And you're going to see huge differences between those that have adopted that early versus those that haven't. And I think we're already seeing that in things like the Evident AI Index, right? Where you have a top 50 and you look at the rate of change, and it's quite exciting from an Asian perspective.
And talking just about the change, as you might see that with AI coming in, the skills for people, and it's an expectations from the bank that the employee has to learn AI, have to adapt AI and make a use of it. And how you have seen it and how people are comfortable about building their own AI products or partner with a vendor. So if we talk about 2 to 3 years before, and I was in a tech vendor space, and whenever we have a conversation with the bank, we always say just get the best from there and just have a hybrid model, build plus buy. Whatever you can build in-house, great, but get the best capabilities. Like API came in, take the APIs, build your front ends, get the best out there. So what's happening in the AI space? Now they are like your team, and every bank is thinking about building their own AI enablers and stuff.
Yeah,
how they're improving their skill. What are the learning angles there as well?
That's quite a big question.
Yeah.
All right, let me unpack that.
Yes.
So I think first of all, it depends where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
And I think, let me answer the obvious stuff and then let's get into the more interesting bits. This all starts with your data.
Yeah.
Look, I know it's a cliche, data is oil, soil,
Yes, exactly.
But you've got to have clarity in terms of, and it's not just data quality, of course, but it's where is it? Is it accessible?
True.
Does your CISO understand, right? And do we have clarity on what type of risk we have in a data to cloud perspective? What does that data pipelining look like? Are these data sets API enabled, to your point, or are we going to need connectors?
Exactly.
So that's what the first piece. The second piece is, I'm going to be a little bit unpopular saying this, but like, I'm not a big fan of hackathons.
Okay.
I'm not, because I think often these become super, super tactical. There's an expectation because it won a hackathon internally that this should now be productionized. And I'm like, look, it's great, and it obviously will jump and be considered in the queue. But like,
what's the value add? What are you bringing from it? Either saving hours, generating more revenues, or what's the rationale behind it?
I think a better use of time is around, we currently, in terms of principles, it's obviously value and it's centralized design, solutioning, from a control perspective, because generative AI, by comparison to predictive, offers a host of additional risks that need to be managed. So one of the things I think that starts to get quite interesting is, how do we have supervised federation models? How do we harness the talent from these hub and spoke teams and all of that business domain centricity in a way that governance by design approach and the appropriate guardrails is still there? So that's where we're looking at things like low-code, no-code platforms, right? Like, how can we sit and enable people to develop faster and wider? It's why we have an R&E team that is sitting there enabling access to sandbox environments. It's why we have our tech and architecture business that has the AI factory, where you have pre-approved models, you have capabilities like RAG and intelligent document processing, and it's our world that would then solution with them back to the business. And then third, from a scale perspective, we need to start developing a central marketplace, a pattern library, whatever you want to call it, right? Where all of these different templates are there, so we can start doing a lift shift. And that's where it gets exciting. That's where we scale. And that's the only way we will be able to address some of our very demanding business customer needs.
Yeah, that's a very detailed answer and quite insightful as well. So you mentioned about what are the do's, like create the libraries, have a set of team, get a clear idea. If for our audience, what are the 3 don'ts that you should not do when you are building an AI product or an AI use case? What would be the top? It can be one words, it can be answers.
Okay.
What would be the top 3 things you'll say that guys don't
Super
do this?
easy.
We have done this.
Stop doing POCs.
Okay.
Stop doing POCs. Move to minimum viable products.
Yeah.
POCs, the amount of effort, the organizational friction and drain.
Yeah.
We did something with synthetic data.
Okay.
There's no return on investment or return on effort. So do that. Second, be super clear about what you're going to prioritize on.
Yeah.
There's always 1,000 use cases, hackathon related or have come organically from the business. Be clear on what your prioritization strategy is going to be. Is it value focused? And if you don't know, focus on the value, right? So don't just we're doing this because it's a pet project of someone with a C in their job title, right? Like I see a lot of that.
Yes, yes.
And I think the third piece as well is, what would my third don't be? I would guess the third piece is around, don't forget the talent side of things. At the moment, it is hyper competitive for the right data scientists, the right engineers. Contrary to our employee branding, banks are not their first port of call. If you're a truly gifted data scientist, you get excited by access to data, a variety of issues and challenges and problems, and the freedom to experiment. Those things don't necessarily go hand in hand with a heavily regulated institution. So don't forget your talent policies, employee benchmarking, and go beyond the process. We don't hire people that live remote. Why? Yeah. Like this is the single most talented person. If they live on an island in Fiji, let's enable that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for these insights. Now, just to close, I just want to ask one question. I know SEB is doing a lot of projects. What would be the one project you're exciting about and why? And we can, that would be the key takeaway.
I hate these questions because I'm excited about all of them. The one that I'm excited about most. Okay, I think one of the ones I'm excited about is these incremental process improvements to something I've spent 16 to 20 years of my life looking at, which is correspondent banking.
Okay.
Heavily document intensive. And a huge part of our top line strategy and the DNA of the bank. Okay. If we can move beyond these processes to start reimagining this as a hashtag North Star goal, I'm excited by it because I think we've got this right, where we're identifying a lower risk appetite process automation. Yes. So in effect, the development of this souped up version of correspondent banking 2.0, like the development of those LLM capabilities is being paid for in the productivity returns as we incrementally inch forward to it. So it's innovative, and to our shareholders, reassurance that we are actually paying for the development and then the threading together of these capabilities as we go use case by use case. Measured, controlled, value-driven, Bosch.
And it's pretty to the point that talking about the process automation. So we have been talking about chatbots, voice agents, and now we have talking to a lot of banks. Everybody's now talking about get the AI in the process and get it going, have those process automations in that
for sure, because we've all got better things to do, right?
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for your time, Guy. It was really nice, and I hope our audience gets some good insights of what not to do and what to do. Thank you so much.